Good evening, Professor. How are we tonight?
I'm down.
What's the matter?
Been passed over.
Uh-oh.
Not, just ignored totally. I wanted a promotion. I didn't get it. I don't even think you were having an offering for a job promotion, were you?
Oh, uh-oh.
Maybe I wanted you to have one and I could apply. That's it.
So you can get out of here.
Well, maybe I applied for something else and I didn't get it. How about that?
Okay, so we're talking about how should I approach my boss about being passed over, went for promotion due to favoritism?
Due to favoritism. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, we touched on this a couple of weeks ago in another topic about favoritism and kind of being overlooked. Um, this is kind of tough because number one, the person in this case will say me. We think that there is a possibility that favoritism is present, uh, but you don't know for sure. It may actually not be occurring.
Mhm.
So as we walk through this, we'll be talking with the masters tonight. Needless to say, we want to tiptoe or walk softly, as the old saying goes. I always had this thing, and I've told you about it before, is that I always wondered when I didn't get the promotion, if I did something right or did something wrong, meaning whether I got the promotion or not. And the bottom line to it, I always watch to see the person who got the promotion. And the reasoning is that you never know how a person's going to act until they get promoted and then they get under pressure. And not only for the person themselves who got the promotion, but also the boss that turned around and promoted them, because mistakes are going to happen. And so we know that that new person is going to get under pressure. So you never know if they go off the wall or whatever. But I'm also looking more so at that boss to see how that boss is going to react when something goes wrong and the person who they promoted goes wacky, so to speak. And so I hate to say it, but about, 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10, I always tell myself, thank goodness I didn't apply for that promotion with that boss.
Mhm.
Now, on the other hand, if it's a boss who I've worked for previously and they get a promotion, that worked out smoothly for me. Had that happen twice in life, man, that's like greasing the skids or whatever. You know how that person responds and they know how you respond. And so it works great. So don't be all upset you didn't get the promotion. Well, we're done tonight. Thank you. Appreciate the talk. Oh, no, we're not done tonight. We got to talk about the Bible, don't we?
We do. We need to hear your story.
Oh, let's see what I can make up tonight for you folks. How about that? Oh, let's see. Who are we going to talk about a promotion and we wish we could be that individual? Well, we're going to talk about a person in the Bible, a fellow that, sorry, ladies, but for men, we want to emulate so badly, most likely, that we can't stand ourselves. And you're like, well, who is he talking about? Has anyone heard of Samson? Oh, my goodness. Every man's dream. So,
Any woman's too.
well, I'm not going to answer that. But, think about it. What if God had chosen you, gentlemen or ladies, for your gentleman that you're dating, married to? What if God had chose that person to be Samson? Oh, my goodness. I mean, come on. Let's think about this. Long, mine's short. Long, lovely, flowing hair. The strength that you can tear a lion apart, kill a whole army, with the jawbone, so to speak, of a dead animal. I mean, come on, womanizer. Oops, sorry, ladies, but but you got him, okay? You own him. I mean, this is awesome. Isn't that whatever? I don't know if everybody wants to be that. We always hear, at least I did when I was younger, the story of Samson and Delilah. This is what happened. Samson loved Delilah. We never know if she did love him back, but it would always be like, oh, Samson, tell me where your strength is. Well, she wanted to know so that the Philistines, who she was a member of the clan, so to speak, so she could tell them how to kill Samson. And it was like, he just went along with it. And then finally, at last, he told her it was his hair. Now, I've always wondered about that. Why did he finally tell her the truth on that? And to answer that question, folks, I want to start back, if you don't mind, boss, at the very beginning of Samson's life. So I'm not going to get any more into Delilah until right at the last point I want to make when we get to the end of this. And I got 15 minutes, but less than that now. But I want to talk about Samson's beginning in his life because it's quite interesting. And we can decide at that point if Stevie, decides he really would like to be Samson. All right?
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to start off that Samson's mother, she was not able to have children. And needless to say, an angel came to her and said, "You're going to have a child. And when you have the child, don't cut the child's hair." And also, of course, be sure he understands all the rights and so on as far as being, an Israelite. Well, Samson was a little different, needless to say, in that he decided that he liked the Philistines, all right, the Gentiles. And you're like, why would it be that way? And, some commentators say that was God working through him, that God wanted him to be a part of the Philistines because he, as a judge, that was what he was really appointed to do, was to try to clean out the Philistines. Ultimately, it was King David who did it. But Samson gave him a good run in between. Now, some people would say that Samson was the last judge. Of course, we could argue that, Samuel possibly was the latter after that, but Samuel was a prophet uh, going into the judgeship, so to speak. So we'll just say that Samson was one of the last judges, okay? And the judges' roles were to physically fight, if you think about it, for the Israelites to win over all of their adversaries, in this case, the Gentiles, the Philistines, okay? So, Samson one day, he goes down to this small village called Timnah. And this was his first encounter, I guess, with someone from outside of his clan. And so he saw this pretty young lady and he talked to her, he noticed her, and he goes back home and he tells his daddy, "I want you to get this young lady for me down there in Timnah because I want to marry her." And his mother said, "Why do you want to do that? Why can't you marry someone up here in the clan? There's a lot of pretty ladies around here." "No, I want her." And again, I'm going to kind of follow under that thought process that the Lord wanted him to have that. Now, they didn't like, the interracial marriages back then, but the Lord kind of wanted him there so that he could get into the Philistine camp, if you want to call it that, into their tribe, whatever. And so he could irritate them. It'd be, one thing if he's fighting from Israel, in that area, but if he's going down into their area, oh goodness, and he's trying to marry their women or whatever. So anyway, Samuel then takes his parents, and they, mother, father, Samuel, all tread back down to Timnah for this young lady. Well, on the road, apparently there was a lion that was roaring that Samuel heard, and all at once the force of God came upon him. Let's just say he had a great injection of testosterone. Samuel goes, Samson goes over, he just breaks that lion in two, kills it immediately. And he never told his parents. All right. And so he came back to the parents and they turned around and continued their little path. All right. But what I needed to bring to your attention, though, is then when they go down, and this was on their way down to Timnah, needless to say. And so after they talked to him, then they decided that he wanted to go now and talk to that woman. All right. And a few days later, Samson then decides he's going to go back to marry her. So, of course, mom and dad come back with him again. They're going down to Timnah because he's getting married now to that young lady. Her dad agreed with him, right? But on the road going down there, he got away from his parents for a minute. He wanted to see what the lion looked like. He killed her. When he goes over, there's bees flying everywhere, and there's honey all over. Oh, there's honey in the carcass. Well, he takes a dip, eats some in his hand, and he even carries some back to his mom and dad. But he didn't tell them that he had killed the lion. Didn't tell them that he got this out of a dead lion. Oh my goodness! And they enjoyed the honey too, so they kept on walking. So they get on down to the young lady's father's house, and they start having a banquet. Apparently, they had a 7-day banquet. Your marriage, it has to go through these 7 days, or blah 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 blah. And so Samson, maybe it's testosterone. I don't know. Maybe he's so good looking. Maybe he's so strong. He's a little bit of a bragger too. So he turns around and he says, "I have a riddle." And he says, "If any of you gentlemen are able to turn," and there were 30 of them, the gentlemen, Philistines there, because they come and stay with him, so to speak, during the marriage of the 7 days. Okay. If anyone can tell me the answer to my riddle, I will turn around and give you a change of fine clothes and a piece of fine linen to go along with it. Oh, well, well, let's hear your riddle. What is it? We're going to solve it. We get brand new clothes. This is awesome. And he says, out of the eater, Eater, came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet. SWET. Well, these guys couldn't figure it out. So even the third day, it's 3 days out, 7 days total. They still can't figure it out. So they go over to his wife to be, and they said, you need to trick your husband. Notice I said, trick your husband, meaning they're married, so to speak, but they have to go through the 7 days to tell you what it is and tell us. Like, well, why would she do that? Because they told her, if you don't, we'll burn down your father's house with you in it.
Oh, wow.
Okay? Now, the question there that I have, if I want to walk away from this, and to say, well, why didn't she go tell Samson that? But she didn't. Now, is it because he was too much of a playboy, looked too good, whatever? Now, the scripture didn't say that he was out, being a womanizer. Well, that's just our interpretation because of what he did with Delilah. But we're talking about a young man here now. And the only time he had the strength come over him was that time we talked about the lion, okay? So I would suggest, based on the Bible, maybe that was his first encounter. I don't know that he ever had that. I'll call it the testosterone pump at that point. Irrespective, that's what happened. Now this young lady doesn't tell him, but she does the other thing. Whining. You don't love me. If you love me, you'd tell me. He wouldn't tell her. He says, look, I haven't even told my father and mother. And they'd be the ones I told, but I haven't told them anything about this riddle. I have not told them the answer. They have no idea. Because remember, they didn't see the dead lion. They didn't know he killed the lion, la, la, la. They didn't see the honey, la, la, la. So, on the 7th day, crying so bad, so upset, he finally tells her. What do I think she does? Runs to the Philistines. And she tells him what he said. Oh. So the 30 guys came back to him. We got your answer now. We know it. What's the answer? What could be sweeter than honey? What could be stronger than a lion? And Samson said to them, if you hadn't been plowing with my cow, C-O-W, my cow, you would have not known what the answer was. So he did. Well, what happened then? Well, Samson got mad again. Bible says the power of the Lord came on him again. Oh my goodness, there's that testosterone pump. Now I'm using testosterone just as an example, folks. I have no idea. I'm sure just God's might, but I'm just using that for us men here. We always think it's testosterone. Okay. So anyway, he turned around and goes to another adjacent on Ascalon. He kills 30 men, strips them of their clothes, those fine linen that they were wearing. He brings it back and he gives it to these people. All right, these men. Then he goes back to his parents' house, and he was just furious what happened. So remember, he's back down at his parents' house, leaves the girl down here, all right? Well, by leaving the girl down there, remember we just said earlier, they were married. Well, the father, apparently, father-in-law for him, didn't interpret it that way. So I'm going to tell you now, and we'll get to the story in just a second. He turned around and gave his daughter away to another guy. He said, well, goodness gracious, who did he give away to? Well, Samuel's best friend. I'm sorry, Samson's best friend. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Samuel. Samson's best friend, the strong man's best friend. Well, I should say the best man at the wedding. So possibly it could be his friend. I take that back. His best man at the wedding. So you got to be kidding me. And the reason I say that is because it wasn't long after that Samson goes back to see his wife, the one he married. Right? He goes up to him, I want to see my wife. And he tells the father-in-law, I want to see my wife. I want to go to her room, he says. I want to go to my wife's room. And he says, no, you can't go there. He says, I thought you hated her, so I gave her to your friend. All right? Who again was the best man in the wedding. And he said, and the father-in-law says, but don't worry, here's her younger sister. She's prettier anyway, so you can have her. Oh. Now, remember, I'm wanting to be like Samson, okay? Yeah, it's starting to kind of Dwayne here. Look, Dwayne on me. I don't know that I want to. Samson, he says, look, daddy-in-law. That's my thing. But he says, look, I'm not going to be responsible for what's about to happen here to these Philistines. That's what he says. Your people, y'all are fixed to pay for this. So what did he do? Well, he turned around and he got 300 foxes, 300. And two at a time, he tied their tails together, put torches in the knots of the tails, set the torches on fire, and threw them out into the fields and let them go. Well, you can imagine that those fields, grain, everything, even what they had stored up, was all burned up. All right. Well, let's go a little bit further. The Philistines heard that Samson had done this, right? The Philistines heard that it was because the father-in-law had turned around and given Samson's wife over to the best friend, best man at the wedding. The Philistines turned and burnt the father-in-law's house and Samson's wife. They were burned up, killed in their house. I'm still wanting to be Samson, right? This man, you got to be kidding me. Testosterone, does it get him in trouble? Yeah. But he was doing what God wanted, irritating the Philistines. Well, Samuel then hears what they have done.
Samuel
Or Samuel. Samson.
Okay.
Folks, forgive me.
You know, I just want to be sure.
I mean, Sam's in here. Samson heard what happened. And so he tells the Philistines, he said, so this is how you act. He said, I swear I won't stop until I pay you back. Killed every one of them. They're gone. All right. So now he goes and gets in a cave. He's up at Edom, E-T-A-M. So he's just living in a cave, staying up there. Well, apparently the Philistines have moved into a local town in Judah. And the men of Judah asked them, why are y'all doing here? And I'm 16 after. I got to speed this up. Why are you attacking us? And they said, we're attacking you because we came to take Samson. Hey, I got to write this down. As a prisoner, and because he's treated us so badly, we want him. So 3,000 men, according to this, were in Judah at that time. So they went up to Samson and says, hey, do you know the Philistines are our rulers now? What have you done to us? He said, well, I did to them what they did to me. What's the problem? And they said, well, we've come to tie you up and take you to them. Now, I want to say something real succinctly here. Samson said, give me your word, my fellow Israelites, that you won't kill me when you tie me up. Now, why would Samson say that? And the reason I'm saying it that way, why would he say that? Because remember, when he's talking to Delilah, coming back to Delilah now, right? The young lady who he liked, and she goes, oh, tell me, Samson, where your weakness is. He finally told her that it was his hair. Why would he tell her that, knowing that every other time that he told her before, she had the Philistines coming there trying to kill him? Yeah. Why did he forget then? But this time, his own people, just to tie him up with ropes. And the only thing that I can, and again, it's not in the scripture, folks, but the only thing I can think, maybe the power of God wasn't consistently staying with him during this time. You know, younger man, just wasn't there yet. I don't know, but it was so strange that he says, you can tie me up, but give me your word you're not going to kill me. And let me keep going. So they tie him up, they hand him over, and guess what happened? The power of God came back on him again. Oh. The testosterone, I'll say, hit him again. It wasn't a continual process. It just, when he gets mad, then it hits. And apparently he got mad. So he broke the ropes. He found a jawbone of a dead donkey, and he started slaying all those men. He killed 1,000 men. Oh my goodness, with the jawbone of a donkey. Then he starts singing. Who knows? This is what the Bible says. He says, with the jawbone of a donkey, I killed 1,000 men. With the jawbone of a donkey, I piled them up in piles. Well, they didn't rhyme too well, but that's what the man was singing. So he's all excited. And then he threw the jawbone away, and he became thirsty, and he cried up to the Lord. Hey, he says, you gave me this great victory. Now I'm going to die of thirst and be captured by these heathen Philistines. Well, God then turned around, opened a hollow place in the ground, water came up, and so he drank, and he felt much better. Boss, that's the early years of Samson. My comments on this one is that being the greatest among all the other men, by the way, he was about as tall. Some say he's a little bit taller than what Goliath was, David and Goliath. Mm-hmm. Remember that big giant? Mm-hmm. He's a big man, Samson was, if you ask me. But being the greatest of all the other guys, the flowing hair, testosterone, big muscles, strong, everybody thinks you're, unbelievable. It's really not all that cracked up to be. I don't want Samson's promotion. I'll tell you why. I'll be famous. I would have the greatest feats of strength. I'd be the king of the hill, probably a womanizer if that's what I wanted. Hmm. But able to do things that regular people couldn't. Everybody be afraid of me because I can tear a lion in two. I can also defeat a whole army with just a bone. If I can't find that, maybe a shovel. Hmm. But in the end, if we think about what happened to him after Delilah told them to cut his hair and he got it cut, well, they'll put out my eyes. I'll be blind. And ultimately, in order to redeem myself, I ask God to give me my strength one more time so I can stand at the temple between the two posts, the corner post, push that temple and die with them. So I'm glad I looked and watched Samson receive his promotion, and I don't want to be Samson. So that's my story.
Well, that was a story.
That was a story. Watch who gets the promotion and decide if you're glad you didn't get it.
Right. Because things can happen.
They do. And I'm 21 after. I'm so sorry, folks. I hope it was a good story.
It was. Yeah, it was fabulous.
All right.
Very good. Yeah, you gotta be careful what you ask for, because it gets you into something.
It could get you there.
Check it all out before you go for it, because it's not all good.
Amen.
All right.
Can we say good night now?
All right.
I'm still here. Maybe next week too. She'll keep me. Didn't get that promotion though. Whatever.
Well, might be too much.
Oh, that's true. Thank you for not promoting me. Oh my.
All right, everyone. Have a great week. Thanks for
Take care.
joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.